Look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
This is Dan Jurgen.
This is Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman on Justice League Action.
This is Mark Wade, writer of Superman Birthright.
And you're listening to The Krypton Report.
The Krypton Report podcast is dedicated to all things Superman, Supergirl, and the planet Krypton. We discuss movies, TV, game, comics, and all things DC. So join me, Tyler, with my co-host James and Jania. Welcome to the Krypton Report. It is I, your host Tyler, and today I have with me a special guest. This guy I've been trying to chat with for a while. We've been chatting online for quite a while, but it's been crazy trying to actually talk. So this is our first time actually getting to talk voice to voice. I'd like to welcome the one, the only, the man behind the pen, so to speak, the editor-in-chief of the Daily Planet, Mr. Zack Benz. Welcome, Zack.
Thank you. That's quite the introduction.
Yeah, I've been working on it.
Yeah, we've been playing, phone tape for a few weeks.
We have. It's been crazy, but that's life,
Yeah.
Zack recently moved to Metropolis, as he has amazingly shown us that Metropolis really is in Milwaukee. Am I correct with that? Minneapolis. Ah, man. Hold on.
Yeah, close.
Man, I know why I said that, but hold on. I want to take that out. So Zack has moved and has shown us why he believes, and I'm agreeing with him, that Metropolis really is Minneapolis.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, besides the name thing, very similar. The look, feel of the city gives me your film Metropolis vibe, from the show.
Mm.
It actually was used in the show, too, for the exterior shot.
Oh, wow, that's cool. Well, I don't live too far away from Cincinnati, which has the prototype of the Hall of Justice, but, I often think that I don't know why Kansas was chosen for Smallville, because I really feel Ohio has a really good Smallville vibe.
Yeah, I heard that on one of your previous podcasts. It would have made sense for, especially since both the Superman creators at Ohio.
Yeah.
Been kind of poetic.
Yeah, they're from Ohio. Like a few years back, we went up to Cleveland to the from Cleveland to Krypton is what it was called. Big thing, but that's why I say I come from the land of Superman here in Ohio. But what's cool is not only is Zack a lover of comic books and these characters, but Zack took his love of these characters to a different level, and he is a journalist, and I think that is something that a lot of times with I think the Clark Kent character and the Superman character, we are always inspired to be heroic or to do good, but Zack took it a different way, I mean, I think in a way he's influenced by the different side of the characters, more of that, what Clark is about, so to speak, than Superman. And we'll dive into that in a moment. Also, where's all the people who are farmers because of the Kents, but
yeah.
Why don't you take us down a quick memory lane of, first of all, what got you into the characters, the whole world of Superman, and what got you into journalism?
Well, I guess like many fans of different parts of the character and medium of the character is hard. But what got me hooked into the world of early as I can remember, my mom, so I was raised by my grandpa's farm, actually, in northern Minnesota, an hour or two away from Kansas, right up north.
So very Smallville.
Yeah, just in the opposite direction. Yeah, it's very Smallville vibes, except for I feel like Smallville's a bit welcoming community. The Iron Range was back then.
I hear you.
But my mom, she couldn't afford much, and when I did see her, she always gave us, or gave sisters. She gave me DVDs, the old Superman Fletcher cartoons, and the Batman's Scooby-Doo cartoon. And I already was a big fan of Scooby-Doo. And
Who isn't?
Yeah. And then seeing the Batman back then, which I think it was based on Batman. I found the characters intriguing, and then Fletcher, or I hope Fletcher cartoon.
Yeah, that's good.
They were beautiful and fun and exciting, and so I'm like, oh, well, I want to know more about the character. And I want to say I was 8 years old when I first go. And started Smallville. That show is what inspired. Yeah.
That's awesome. No, please. This is just two dudes chatting.
Yeah.
So was it the Clark Kent of the Smallville, or was it like Chloe? Because I feel like Chloe is such a great character of that, that journalist and that love. And the one thing that Smallville always kind of made me chuckle about was Chloe ran the high school newspaper as if it was a real newspaper. I always thought they kind of missed a point of having Chloe with an internship at like the actual Smallville newspaper.
Yeah.
Because I know my high school newspaper was like kind of a joke. Mine
didn't even exist.
It was more like a high school newsletter that came out, I think, weekly. And I just kind of wish that somewhere they had, mentioned maybe the Torch was, I don't know, affiliated with the local newspaper. Because, you and I have talked a little bit that I worked for my small town newspaper for a little while. And as much as I enjoyed what I was doing, that was the worst job I've ever had because the way it was managed and the editor, it was really bad. And I learned a little bit more about how just the system works, and all that with small newspapers, and how around here is like one publishing company that pretty much owns all the small newspapers and all that. So it was very interesting, kind of like a peek behind the curtain, so to speak. And so just seeing all like Chloe talk about like, you're going to be on the front page of the Torch. Yeah. I'm just like, wow, okay, high school newspaper, all right. I worked on the yearbook staff, and that was did more, I think, investigative journalism in our school than the high school newspaper / newsletter did.
I just published this letter.
Nice. Getting that practice in where you can.
Yep. No, it answer your question though. It was a little bit to do with Chloe, but I didn't get into Smallville right in the series.
Yeah.
And because that's when I found it. And then I bought DVD box, bought it, and it was a combination of Chloe and Lois. But then when I found out more about the character, Lois, went and explored her in her too and fell in love with her. I'd say it was her who fired, not the Clark Kent, because he didn't sort of hate.
And even then, I feel like he still was struggling, but that's a different story.
Yeah. But then, like going back, revisit Clark and Lois, Harry, Jimmy, and Kat, and Ron, all the other related characters, or staff, writing truth, even in comic books too, writing the truth no matter the cost, to just make sure people like Luthor, who hold power both physically or are held accountable. And they even hold Superman accountable too, or others too. And I thought that was really commendable. And not only did like the Daily Planet do that, but it cultivated this culture of welcoming people who are different in their office. Like everybody was like family. I grew up kind of isolated, which part away, like I could just for the first letter, a slew of many things I did growing up for the church. My extracurriculars were I isolated myself because I'm gay and I have FASD, so fetal alcohol spectrum disorder limited my developmental crop. So like 4 or 5 years old in 8th range school, so I didn't talk. And I also was a big secret because I thought people would hate me. So
no, you're fine. I mean, hey, this is a safe place, man. All are welcomed here. Like, you know, my experience all the time with people I talk about is my dad was in the Navy, and my brother and I were exposed to different cultures and stuff and younger when we were little. And then when my dad retired, he wanted to move and be back where he grew kind of around. He grew up because that's where actually both sets of my grandparents were. And I remember like kind of reverse culture shock in the sense of like how it was in the small community and small town. Kind of like how Chloe was when she supposedly moved to Smallville from the big city.
Yeah.
And it was weird, and I had this moment of like, people are talking about we're going to have diversity training because we need to learn how to accept other people for being different. And I remember sitting there and not trying to sound like I was being rude, but I just remember like, this is stupid, because I felt like it was common sense. And to me, it was common sense because I had grown in schools that were multicultural and diverse. And I you know, with your story, I couldn't imagine like having to be in a community and not, you know, and feeling that isolated. Because small towns can be great or they can be horrible. You know, it's like if you click, it's awesome. If you don't, it's rough. And I, you know, I'm sorry you went through some struggles, man, because I've been in weird situations where I've kind of felt awkward. I mean, I'm not here to go down every tangent. I'm just saying, like, I'm glad you are where you are, man. You seem like you've come a long way and become a very strong person. And you're welcome. And you're doing something prominent with your life. I mean, and we're gonna go down that here in a moment. Yeah. Excuse me. You know, I lost my train of thought. That happens a lot. My brain moves too fast. You know, I had, you know, part of like I was talking about how horrible, like, and you know, I had approached you before, and I'll step back about. I had an idea for like a story, just a segment. I wanted to like say something about what the character meant for me, and you know, I sent it to you, and I was really hesitant and nervous because I love writing. I think I have a gift to it, but I have problems with my eyes. I have dyslexia. I was diagnosed when I was younger, and I have trouble sometimes reading and seeing things. And there's times I'll write stuff and I don't catch like spelling errors or stuff like that because when I'm reading it, I see it fine and I don't see it correctly. So I've become very scared with writing stuff because I feel like I do a good job, but there's always stuff that I miss. And it makes me very hesitant to share a lot of stuff that I'd like to share. And so, like, I was, you know, nervous to share my story with you. So I'm like, crap. Like, I'm going to, you know, he's going to look at it and be like, dude, this is written like a child, because sometimes I make mistakes and I don't catch them. You know, I get excited more for what I'm writing than like the mechanics of the thing. no, you were really receptive, and you seem to have liked what I wrote, and I'm gonna believe you did because you put it on the front page. That was like it was kind of a it was like a win for me, because I was like, oh man, like I feel like I did something that made me feel good about me, and I think that's a testament to your character too. Is though you are a fan of these characters have inspired you in your career choice, and you've taken that love to a new height. And we'll get there, but you had made a comment, and I had not really said much about it, so I wanted to talk to you about it. How are you feeling with the way that they brought out John as being a bisexual character with Jay coming up here in issue 5?
That I have only been that excited because and was just over the that I was when I saw that story, I was in the middle of ordering coffee, screamed in the clerk's face. I'm so excited. I was very happy because John is a relative character, and I'm glad that they're exploring different characters and helping other fans who struggle with that part of themselves, see themselves. I think that's important, and I really wish that.
I see. I'm a very big. I think it's very important that I have 2 kids, okay, and I say that because I have a daughter and I have a son, and I can see things where it's important that they both have some sort of representation in whatever, something that they can see and identify with, and I find that's across the board with whatever, having something that you feel like you are connected to. My only problem with the whole John thing was I wish they hadn't told us. I would have liked to have read the story and found out. Yeah, that's the whole problem I have with comics now. Period. Is I feel like they're just telling us everything, and it's like, oh, this is what happens. Now find out how it happens. And I'm like, no, I don't want to find. I want to be able to turn the page and like, whoa, that
or see that cover and be like, whoa, that's John kissing a dude on there.
No, what's going on? Like, so I mean, and like you said, I've had mixed feelings about where they've taken characters and like, okay, now we're gonna make this character gay, like when they did Iceman. Yeah. Because I'm like, okay, and or they try to. I understand what they're doing in one way, but another way, I'm like it doesn't feel authentic. But like you stay with John. John's only been around for like 6 years. And we haven't explored really that. I think they touched on a little bit. I didn't read the whole Legion, so I don't know if there's anything in there, but I think there was the mention of in the future state about him and Yara, maybe. So this is new for John. And like you said, he's a new character, so it doesn't feel like they're trying to cheat. I was kind of iffy with the whole Tim Drake thing. Because I was kind of like, Tim's been around for a while.
Yeah.
And, he had his relationship with Stephanie Brown and everything. So I was kind of like, okay, like, I see what you're doing. That's, but with John, I was like, okay, this makes more sense to me. This is the character. I feel like it's a little bit more, you can make it organic and natural, and it doesn't feel like it's coming from like a corporate agenda. So, yeah. Because I have no problem with, like, and I hate because, you have people out there who are ignorant enough not to read what's going on. Like, I think maybe it was you that shared somebody shared it was a tweet that said Superman loves, and it was supposed to be Lois Lane, but the dude spelled it wrong. It said Lewis Lane.
Yeah, when someone put that in the, I think it was a senator who, and I think it was Sam who shared that in our group chat, which you're part of.
Yeah, it might have been where I seen, because I remember sharing it with people too. I was just like, these are people who aren't even reading that it's not Clark. Like, it's,
or just open the article too. It says, and most of the headlines said Superman's son.
It reminds me a little bit if you ever heard Dennis O'Neil talk about when they killed Robin, and everyone thought it was Dick Grayson.
Oh yeah.
people who didn't even read comics or whatever had no idea what was going on there. Like, you killed Robin, and he was like, it's Jason Todd. And they're like, who?
Exactly.
But no, like it makes me happy as a person to hear that there's a character that is prominent that you connect with that can help you see yourself in some way, shapes, or forms, and that's what it's all about, man. That's the characters are about lifting us up and feeling connected. So with that, tell me a little bit about, I'm tongue-tied. It's been a long day. My kids, I learned today, it got dropped on me, it's an election day, right?
Yeah.
That my kid's school is closed it's a remote learning day because the polls are actually at the school and it's a small town.
Oh.
So they had a remote learning day. So when my kids got home last night, they're like, hey, we don't have to go to school tomorrow. So it was pretty much, I kind of got like a bunch that dropped on me today, and it's been a little bit of a crazy day.
Yeah.
Woo, election time, U.S., woo, government. So talk to me a little bit about, like, I think journalistic integrity is a powerful thing. I think it's something that we as a culture are losing because everybody with a phone and a social media account can blast whatever they want. Nobody. Yeah. We just talked about how people don't really check sources, check facts. They just look at certain things and distort it. Tell me how your thoughts and feelings on the journalistic side of bringing the truth, like you stated. Where do you stand with just the things that you do to make sure that you are authentic, that you are creating the truth, like James Nakamura, the truth. How do you feel about journalism in our current culture? It's a big thought.
It is. That's a big question.
He's like, I'm gonna go put on another pot of coffee. I'm gonna kick back.
But I feel like a lot of reporting. There's, like any profession, it's good. There's bad. But a lot of them are just struggling to survive. Some of them are just struggling to survive, and so they're doing breaking reporting, is what I call it, or clickbait in some ways. But there are also the really great ones that understand the response and follow a code, an inner code, their companies, their publication, and report truth through the facts. So it's hard. You just have to know where to find the right information. And journalism is so important. I don't want to bash art or any publications, but yeah, you just need to know.
I know, I'm a hard-hitting journalist. I told you that from the start.
I could say what I want to do with the Daily Planet.
Sure, go ahead. Go ahead. We're getting there. I know that, the thing is that I just kind of wanted to chat a little bit more, just about what's going on with you in life, because I know that you've talked to our good friend Zach Moore. I know you've talked to Luke Bug, and I just wanted to chat with you because I appreciated like the interactions we've had and give you a chance to kind of talk about maybe stuff that not everybody talks with you about. It's kind of what we're all about here. So say what you want to say.
Well,
however you want to present it, just talk away.
To ensure that the Daily Planet remains responsible to security, I actually have drafted a code of ethics, which is available on the site. It holds everyone on the team responsible. Each person who becomes a contributor has to read that or understand that there is a code of ethics and that resource is available. And that's what I have to say. It's to assist in our reporting. It to make sure it stays biased, is factual, and I went to school at the University of Minnesota, which is also way up north. It's the Arrowhead part of Minnesota.
Okay.
Right. Hit the Superior. I studied journalism there. I worked for the school newspaper there at the bar, and that's where I learned that trust is one of the important to have public trust, and that responsibility. And to quote my girl Lois Lane, in the panel says, she says, I'm a journalist. Everything I write reaches millions of people. I have a responsibility to those people. There's far too much injustice all around to be ignored. And those words bring in my head as supervising writers, content creators, Daily Planet. I understand there's like a responsibility, but there's also the responsibility of existing in the real world and informing people so they have all that they need.
That's really good.
Yeah.
So I know that you started the Daily Planet kind of like as a college project, and then you just kind of kept it going. Is that correct?
It's kind of a complicated story. So I started the Daily Planet on Twitter in 2014, and it was more role play based. I was just like, I'm just going to be Daily Planet on report about the DCEU because Man of Steel just raised that here or with film. I decided to follow along with the cinematic universe that's supposed to have.
Just apply crisis theory. That's how I get through. It's Man of Steel to Zack Snyder's Justice League, Crisis, then everything after it's post-crisis, and that's why it doesn't make sense.
That's great. Thank you so much.
That's how I did it. When they put Ezra Miller in the Crisis on Infinite Earth, that immediately told me it's part of this, and that's how I canoned it. That's why Aquaman's a little bit different than what we saw in Justice League. That's why Birds of Prey doesn't completely line up. That's why The Suicide Squad doesn't completely line up. And that's why Wonder Woman 1984 is so different tonally. It's all post-crisis. Mind blown.
Yeah, thank you so much for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome, man. Anytime.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, after I started the Twitter account, it kind of exploded. And I started Online Edition, which you mentioned previously. It's a digital version newspaper, which we're all with. It was exactly the same. I tried it. With some with it. As similar to the Daily Planet, there's these comments. Well, also a newspaper, and people were, at first they were, and they're all archived on the site, even the role that recorded events in the EU. And in 2018, I switched over, throughout 2014, 15, 16, 17. The online edition stayed fictional, but the news we did was actually real. But in 2018, I built a site first school project at 8. Then it kind of grew. It exploded from, and now we have over 50 content creators, proud hosts, collaborate podcasters, YouTubers. It's a place where people put their creative thought, because we have the creative poetry section. It's a place where people can express their. It's a place people can practice being the human side of Superman, or repent, and save or save the planet from that. Because in a world such as ours, nobody can be Superman power-wise, but you can be Clark Kent and play that.
Oh, it totally makes sense. One of the things I always say about Superman is even without his powers, he's still the same person. And, excuse me. What I've always loved about since I've learned of the Daily Planet and really dug in and explored and everything, what I've always really loved about was like what you were saying, like it's a place to get actual factual news reporting, to get correct stories of what's going on, to express yourself, but with the integrity of journalism. It's not like you can just post anything like we do on social media. There is the editor, there is the hierarchy of how a proper news source would handle itself, and that's what we need. We need something where it's fun and it's good and we can explore, but it's also held to its own code of ethics. It's held to an ethical standard, unlike a lot of the resources that most people have at their fingertips. I mean, how many times do we get stuff like videos or whatever sent that, oh my God, do you see this? Mom, that's not real, Mom. That's fake. That's been debunked. Mom, look. Oh no, this was just made. Mom, that looks like it was recorded on a VHS in the 80s. It's just, we live in a world that creates, terror just from false information, and the strength of having someone like yourself, not to put like a huge weight on it, but just someone who has the integrity to say, hey, I'm going to live by these ethics and this code, and I'm going to make sure that what I print is correct. It's a big deal to me. Like it's a reliable way, and it's still fun at the same time because I get to say things like, I have an article on the Daily Planet. That's right. Yeah. I was just on the Planet's website. Zach was like, "Welcome to the Planet."
It's one of my favorite things to say for contributors, like "Welcome to the Planet." It's so meta, and it's just so you feel like you're living in a company,
and that's where we all want to be.
Yes.
Because the rules, the outlook is it's great. So what's going on with Zach? I mean, you got a new job. That was awesome. That helped, with the move.
Yeah.
And you're doing the Daily Planet. I mean, what else is going on with you? Like, like I said, I follow both the Daily Planet and your personal Twitter, and it's always nice to see the things you're out and about. It seems like in your new town.
Yeah.
How's that going?
It's very exciting. I grew up on a farm. I've always dreamt of still in my home state, so I still feel close to home. But home kind of, it got me in a negative way. Give it at that. After my grandma passed.
I can understand that.
After my feel at home.
It was time to move on. I get it. You had your own kind of Clark moment, where he leaves the farm and it's time to go and be Superman in the city. Your own kind of cathartic hero's journey, little Joseph Campbell there.
Yeah.
I always think like I think one Superman story I think that they've never really hit on just as a point, and I'm going to share this and someone's going to steal it. Watch. I think it was in a comic, but I don't think it was Clark as much. I don't remember. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. That happens. But just, the big city. Maybe this wasn't a comic, but like looking up and just being wowed by the city. And then the juxtaposition of people who are in the city all the time who don't really notice the majesty of the city.
Yeah. All in like that photos from just in awe at creativity and build each piece of art and it amazes me that all of these structures, the city was built by humans who are historically for people that don't get along. They all got together and built this city or a city, and that's just how I see it. And it just amazes me that each window is filled with story. Each person walking on the street has something going on their life that's important, and just want to hear your
That's an awesome thought, is looking for the story of the unexpected in the everyday.
Yeah.
The beauty of the ordinary, but we all overlook it, I guess, at times. All right, Zach, a couple of quick questions and we'll get you out of here. We know life is always going on. I have 2 kids. I'm hoping he's not burning down the house. For Superman, okay? Trunks or no trunks? Oh, I know it's the most controversial Superman question you'll ever ask. Who knew that a piece of cloth would be the defining thing that would keep fans apart for years to come?
I guess it depends on I don't think they would have worked the armored Superman, but for the traditional card kind of book,
there's no wrong answer, just so you know. Like, I just come to the realization that in live action, I prefer no trunks, but I think you can make them work kind of. Like, as much as I loved the suit in Crisis of Brandon Routh, but continually, I feel like Brandon Routh always was able to wear trunks well. They always designed trunks well for him. Even his Superman Returns suit, they knew how to make them a little better, and they made his trunks a little bit more like shorts.
Yeah.
But I feel like the trunks on the Fleischer suit in Superman Lois, it looks good. But a whole series of that, I don't know if it would hold. And I feel like in comics, okay, fine. Live action, I prefer not. But it also comes down to the costume design.
Yes.
Favorite Perry White?
Oh, that's it.
I know it is.
I'm going to have to...
Hard-hitting journalism.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with the Perry White that appeared in Jurassic Park, because that's the most Perry White we've seen, like character-wise. He was a deeper character in that than like the older Superman shows, and he didn't really appear in Smallville that much. And he's, as much as I like the Perry White, I do. I'm gonna have to go Perry White.
Lane Smith's Perry White was great because, like you said, it was the only time that we got a character of Perry than just like moments. We actually got to explore and be part of his life. But I mean, you can't beat Jackie Cooper's "This will be the biggest story since God spoke to Moses."
No,
that's my favorite line of his character in all of that. Like, that's a great line. So, all right, you're a Smallville fan. So, would you say that Tom Welland's your favorite Superman, or do you have a different one?
Henry Cavill.
Once again, there are no wrong answers, because I say this, but I'm slowly falling more into Tyler being my favorite Superman.
So am I.
Because of where my life is, and relating, like, when I was in high school, when Tom was supposedly in high school in Smallville, and that journey, through college. I was in college. I didn't drop out. He did.
And then also in Crisis, when that hit, you have.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and then now this whole is about Superman being a kid or being a father. I'm a father. And, like, you know, I share this, like, I recently met Dan Jurgens, and I didn't ask him or talk to him anything about Death of Superman. I brought to him the issue with the birth of John Kent, and I asked him to sign it. And I said, you know, Superman's my favorite character. I love these stories that you did, the mini run that you did. You know, the year that you wrote and gave birth to John Kent and Superman became a father in the comics is the year I became a father and my son was born. So this has really resonated with me. And I feel like he appreciated that. I feel like, you know, maybe he mostly gets talked to about Death of Superman, and I was like, no, we're going to talk about something else. So, yeah, all that to say, Tyler is becoming up there because I really like what he's done, but it's resonating with me a lot on different levels of my life. Much like the story that I shared on a recent podcast that you commented on, my wife and I discussed. So it's a great show.
It really shows.
And you know what's funny is you say that, and you know, one of the things I've always said is kind of interesting is people always say it's hard to tell Superman stories, but yet Superman has had more successful television series than Batman, and Batman has like the movie spectacle. But just on paper, you think the detective angle of Batman would make a great TV series, and the spectacle of Superman would be the movie. But for some reason, it's always worked better in the opposite. But we're going to go ahead and put a pin in it here, Zach. It's been a great chatting with you. I have to feed my children.
Yeah, you better go do that.
You have to do as a parent. They have school tomorrow, supposedly. Who knows? Because maybe I'll get a call and they'll be like, nope, no school tomorrow. And I'll be like, great, thanks a lot. But where can people reach you? Like if they want to chat with you?
You can reach me personally on Twitter at BenzZachary. But the Daily Planet DMs are open on all social media platforms, and you can also directly website.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for being here and just getting a chance to talk with you. It's been a pleasure. I hope everybody checks out Zach's page for the Daily Planet and sees more about how just authentic and actual newsworthy this site is. So,
yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome anytime. Remember, the Krypton Report is a Tears production. We thank you for listening and enjoying, and please support us on our Patreon account, our TeePublic store, and check out our social media. Always remember to look up in the sky.
And if you want to have a good time, keep listening to the Krypton Report.
Hey, can I get $1? Sure. That's what friends say, right? And we all know that we all have $1. We spend $1 on crazy stuff. We have a loose change around the house probably for $1. So why not help a friend out? The Krypton Report, of course, has a Patreon, like every podcast does. But unlike other podcasts where we're asking for a lot of money, we're just saying, hey, shoot us $1. $1 a month, help us keep the podcast going, and help us to bring entertainment to you. And you can hear the fun voices of me and James. So go to patreon.com/Krypton Report and give it a shot. Thanks.